Now, ladies and gentlemen, we have our next speaker who's going to be talking about heritage and values. We have with us Ms. Kirti Poonia, who leads Okai's efforts towards empowerment and protecting ancient craft. In 2015, she started with 350 women in Gujarat, and today, Okai is impacted more than 1,600 women artisans across the country. In this period, Okai's revenues have grown 6 times. About all the Tata Administrative Services, that is TAS, Kirti has previously worked across industries and functions of 6 Tata companies. She has recently added to the top 100 Women Transforming India list by Niti Aayog. So ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Kirti Poonia. Come on ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for her, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. So I run an organization called Okai. We work with tribal women across India. So we work on protecting an ancient craft. When we first started, we started working with the Rabari tribe. These are my first 5 women leaders. We now work across the country with over 10 crafts. What we really do is we work with tribes to understand their cultural motives, convert them into very fashionable garments, which modern India would wear. We sell them online. And since it's a non-profit organization, the profits go back to the women. So let's begin with acknowledging that the heritage sector is actually receiving renewed attention the world over. But indeed, it's not free of cracks. So today, I'm going to share 7 cracks with you and the design inspirations that can emerge from these fault lines. So the first one is that what is heritage? The term heritage means that it's passed on from generation onto generation, which means it's distributed across the villages of India. So what happens when you set a fashion brand or a jewelry brand in Bombay, Bangalore, or Delhi? The artisans, they move to these cities, they work with you, they live in a 4x4, but they never really make enough to take back home. So what did we do? So Okai set up a distributed manufacturing process. We have auto rickshaws that go through the villages, along with centers that control raw materials. Design patterns are communicated with these villages remotely. We can track, it's so well oiled now that we can track where every piece is being made, in which village, with which woman. This also lowers overall production costs. Now the other benefit of this is that your design can be very unique. You can use the craft of one state and combine it with another, of course protecting the sanity of that craft. The second thing that you can do is actually attach economic value to that craft by having a GI tag for it, and which is what a lot of, at least the embroidery and fashion businesses are doing. I'm not sure if it's happening in jewelry yet. The second problem, that craft is inherently defective. There is a small defect everywhere because it is handmade. So what we do is that we try and design for imperfections rather than designing for perfection. When you do block printing, you have the edge of that block after every interval. So there are several designs where you'll see that line very carefully, and then you can use a jal motif, which will make sure that that line actually enhances the beauty of the product. The second thing that we do, and whenever I get designers from our organization submitting designs and they look like machine-made garments, and if you could make that design by machine, you should not make it in handmade. The third one, heritage is old, and we all want to wear what's trendy. So what do you do? So these are 2 of our designs. The first one is an ikat design. We've taken the ikat, we've combined it with hand embroidery from Gujarat. So all over that pattern, it has different colors and textures which are more relevant to what people like to wear in these seasons and in these times. The dress is a very contemporary dress, it's not a kurta. On the right side, you are seeing mirror work and kanta embroidery that depicts the night sky. The third one is to co-create, artisans and designers to co-create together. The fourth one that we struggle with every day is the lack of business skills in design-led businesses. Often, what happens is that designers, they love to create because of the process of expressing what they really want to tell people, but it may not make business sense. It's really important to have solid training, and I don't know if it's a part of curriculum or it's a problem that people aren't taking it seriously, but we're seeing this as a trend across the industry. Fifth, the lack of technology. So there are several fashion businesses that are coming up that are focusing on tech per se, identifying colors that will work, the problems of sizing and fitting according to customized body types, and many of those. But there is a huge scope for technology. I see a room full of designers, but engineers need to be here. Too many design schools in our country, way too many. We know this because we don't receive any applications for sales and marketing, we don't receive any applications for finance, but every day on our Instagram, on our website, we receive at least 20 designers with their portfolios. We hire a lot, and so we see that there is an inflow of very passionate young designers who've gone to design schools but are not equipped to handle the pressures of working in an organization. So, of course, there needs to be some kind of moderation on the quality of design this country is producing and the quality of designers this country is producing, and in what numbers. Number 7, there are several big brands out there which are using heritage motifs and using machines to make them. So I was trying to find an example for this one, and I found this rug. All of you would imagine this looks like a hand-knotted rug. It is a hand-knotted design. And then I read in the description, it says heat printed on cotton. And so if this is what's going to happen, and I don't even want to name any brands, but you'll see clothes that are using heritage motifs all across, you need to combat that. So what we do is we use content marketing to express how customers can identify what is authentic and what is not. So recently made an Instagram post saying that if we could, we would explain to every woman what is the difference between hand embroidery and machine embroidery. And then all the promoters, all the supporters would start to engage in that conversation with us. But yeah, now we've started to notice that. We didn't notice that before you made that post. So I have these 7 major cracks. I want you to engage with me, ask your questions, because you're young designers going out there, or many of you are already working in the organizations. So we'll open with the question and answers now.
So don't worry about it. It's not personal.
No. I want them to ask the questions.
They usually don't ask questions. So
No, they will.
They will. Okay.
Okay, I want you to ask a question. You. Yeah, the girl in the black dress. Or any 4 of you sitting with me on the table. Come on. Hello?
Yeah. Hi. I basically just wanted to know that how difficult was it to engage with the craftsmen and get them on board with working with you?
It's a very good question. So it is when you enter a village, and especially a tribal village. So this particular village didn't even want to talk to any one of us. You're not allowed to enter that. So what you do is you have to engage with one of the leaders who's working outside the village. So either they may be going to the closest corporate to work, find that one person. That person will usually be educated, so the entire village trusts that person. It could also be the sarpanch of the village. Once you have the confidence and you go with the villager to their village, let him or her take you, the others automatically will start trusting you. The second problem will come in working with women. A lot of the men in the villages will not want them to work. But in Gujarat, this is easier because it's a matriarchal society. Most of the women work. So it was easier for us. But we took that example and those numbers of income that the women in Gujarat are making. So my artisans are making 12 to 15,000 rupees per month, and the men are making about 3,000 per month. So they are the heroes, and that information is spreading from village to village, and so it's becoming easier for us to enter newer villages. Thank you.
Any other question?
Please, use this opportunity.
They're shy. Oh, fine.
Hello ma'am.
Hi.
So how do you manage with pricing? Because we generally expect handmade clothing to be very expensive and machine made is generally cheaper, and that is what people usually prefer to buy. How do you control that?
Very good question also. So why Okai has grown so much is because our pricing is not very high, even though the product is extremely authentic. So what we are making is hand-woven, hand-embroidered, in a non-profit, authentic organization with all the rules and regulations being followed, yet we are almost one-third the price of any other sustainable fashion brand. So that's a very, very good question, and that is the reason to our growth. So what we do is we try to work with volumes, and initially we were low on margins also. So we were sure that this is the game we wanted to play, that we will play on volume, we will play on lower margins, and we will play on storytelling. This is something people want, but maybe they can't afford it. We will make it accessible at a certain price point, yet authentic. So that can be also a strategy, and it worked for us.
I have a question. What are you doing with your export? Are you selling it abroad? I mean, do you have some kind of international distribution yet?
Yes. So we are shipping worldwide from our own website. So I actually saw a transaction last night, and it was from a lady from Parsons School of Design, and I was like, wow, is she shopping on our website? So the word is spreading. We are not marketing outside the country, but people are getting to know about the organization. The second thing that we are doing is that we are pitching our embroideries to people we meet and through contacts that we have. So actually in the Netherlands, we are shipping a lot of art pieces that we are making. So it's a slow process. We are not actively pursuing it because we want to perfect our quality before entering that market. You don't get a second chance. You don't get to go to shows twice. So we're going to go to shows two years later. We'll probably go to one in 2020. Until then, we're figuring out how to be absolutely perfect when we enter.
Okay, any more questions? Okay, so thank you very much for your presence.